Happy Tuesday, everyone. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for Puck with Jo. Man, I tell you, those games last night had me pulling out my hair. I still can't believe it, but they're great games. Hopefully, you guys were able to make some money out there. It was a hard night on the ice for me. Let's get this going today. You're parlaying Carolina and Colorado for that series. Yeah, I can't. We'll break down each and every one of these games. I think you got to lay it heavy on the Carolina Hurricanes. I just don't see the Islanders being able to get it done, Matt. Big shout out to each and every one of you. So thank you so much for being here. Okay, so 4 games on the slate. Every single one of these series is sitting 3-1, which is a scary situation for these teams that have only won one game. They're facing elimination tonight. So, looking here at the Toronto Maple Leafs, the first game we're going to talk versus the Boston Bruins, this team lacks heart out there on the ice, and I'm just not seeing that drive and ambition out of them to get to that second round. And if they get to the second round, you guys, it'd take a miracle for one. And two, they're not going to beat the Florida Panthers. So hats off to the Florida Panthers. I really do think we saw Stamkos in his very last game out there for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is heartbreaking to think. Those 2 goals that were denied in that game, I tell you, momentum shifts. Goalies pushed us over that total. It was frustrating to watch. But looking at this game tonight, Toronto, if Austin Matthews isn't able to hit the ice. Now, I'm seeing his props on the books. I don't think he's 100%, and maybe this is a little bit of head games out there that Toronto is trying to play, saying that he might not be making this game. Maybe he is, but I still do think Toronto doesn't have the heart to be able to beat the Boston Bruins here. So I have to look at the Boston Bruins. Now, looking at the lines in this one, the line has actually come down a bit. It was minus 170 on the Boston Bruins last night. It's now minus 156 as money comes in for Toronto. Plus 130 on the Toronto Maple Leafs. That total sitting at 5.5, minus 118 to the over. I would take it over all day before I took this one under. We know that empty netter situation is going to come into play in this one, just like we saw last night with the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. My problem with taking that one to the under last night was I did have a lot more faith in the Lightning to be able to keep that tight. I don't have the faith here in the Boston Bruins tonight to be able to keep it. The Toronto Maple Leafs to be able to keep it tight versus the Boston Bruins. I do think the Boston Bruins had just been so strong in this series. They have Toronto's number that I just have to look at Boston. So if you want to look at a puck line here, I don't hate it for the Bruins either. I just can't see Toronto getting past them on their own home ice here for the Bruins. The Bruins will move on to the next round if they get this win tonight. Now, Swayman is expected in net here for Boston, and I really do think they will go with Swayman and not go back to Allmark. He stopped 25 shots he faced in that last game. This bench here for Toronto, they're not getting along either. We saw it in the last game, Mitch Marner and Tyler Bertuzzi and William Nylander chirping at Mitch Marner, telling him to stop crying, basically, out there. It's not a good situation for Toronto fans. Now, if you did want to circle someone, I would look at Tyler Bertuzzi to come out, be able to get some points on the board for Toronto, but I'm not counting on this team to get anything done in this one. Could they pull it off? They could, but I'd rather put my money on the Boston Bruins. I'm going to look at David Pastrnak as well for the Bruins for the anytime goal. He's coming in at plus 115, you guys. Okay, the New York Islanders taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. This one kicks off at 7:30 Eastern. Now the Islanders facing elimination, coming in at plus 205 here. Minus 255 for the Carolina Hurricanes, total of 5.5. That 5.5 is juiced to the under at minus 118. I know that I was just talking about the fact the empty netters will come into play, but I do think in this battle here, we're going to go into that third period with maybe the Canes up 2-0. I can't see this being a high scoring battle out there. We've seen out of the 4 games in this series, only one of those games go over. And I know the Islanders are going to be desperate out there to stay alive and push this to game 6. But I do think defensively and goaltending wise, this has to be a lower scoring battle. Varlamov played an excellent game in that last game. they were able to get the win. It was his birthday. He turned 36. I never would have guessed Varlamov was 36. So Frederik Andersen has been stellar this whole series out there. We know Carolina wants to close this out and get on to the second round, but I do think the Islanders push it in this one defensively. So give me the under 5.5. I'm expecting this one to end tonight. Out of the 4 games tonight, I think the Bruins finish it and the Carolina Hurricanes finish it. So if you like the Canes on that puck line, like you guys are throwing out there, that puck line for the Carolina Hurricanes -1.5 at +115. I do think it has every possibility of hitting. I wouldn't even hate an up puck line laying 2.5, expecting this one to be a 4-1 game at the most. The Islanders just cannot light the lamp against the Carolina Hurricanes, except for that one game. Okay. The Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets. This one is hard. I do think Winnipeg on their home ice, if they play like this team should play. I really did think this team had every opportunity to push this series all the way to 7 and win this series and move on to the next round. I really did believe going into the playoffs as well. This was the best looking Canadian team built for the playoffs that had every opportunity to make a run. Now, with what we've seen out of them and with goalie confirmations tonight, I can't back the Winnipeg Jets. I want to see Boussoit come out here in net. Connor Hellebuyck isn't looking like himself, but Connor Hellebuyck is confirmed in goal in this one. Yes, he didn't get enough support in game 1, game 2, and game 3. Game 4, that is on him. This is game 5 tonight. And I tell you, if Connor Hellebuyck costs the Winnipeg Jets this game, well, that comes down to coaching because I would have put Boussoit in. Now, Georgiev was weak in that first game, but he has been strong ever since. And yeah, when we look at that first game with Hellebuyck, I think he faced like 55 shots on goal. So while 6 goals went in, he did face a ton of shots, not getting that support from his defense. But Colorado is leading this series 3-1. They were able to pick up one. The second game they were able to win in Winnipeg, and then they won those 2 at home. So coming back here to Winnipeg now with Winnipeg's backs up against the wall, they do have a fighting chance at home. This is a team that, like I said, I had so much faith in. When Kyle Connor was off the ice, they knew they had to lock down on the defensive side and get defense going. Connor Hellebuyck was really strong then. He's just not showing up in the playoffs. So I don't like what I'm seeing out here. Cale Makar has been lights out for Colorado as well. He's been phenomenal, as well as Nathan McKinnon. So this team should be able to get things done tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some shots on goal props tonight because I really do think you look at Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets and then you look at Shane Monahan. Both of the players on the Winnipeg Jets should step up in this game tonight on their home ice and get those shots on goal. In the last game, we saw both of the players get 4 shots on goal in that game. Now, looking at their numbers tonight, Kyle Connor's coming in at 2.5 shots on goal. It's juicy at -154, but I'm going to parlay it with Shane Monahan's shots on goal. His number's only over 1.5 at -156. So when we parlay Kyle Connor over 2.5 shots on goal and Shane Monahan over 1.5 shots on goal, it's coming in at +167. And I do think those shots are coming. So if you wanted to look at Mark Scheifele, add him in there as well and put this at like a +280 on shots on goal. I love it because we know Winnipeg is in a do or die situation. So those shots are coming. Now, Georgiev, will he be able to stand on his head and withstand the Winnipeg Jets in this one? He should be able to. This is a game I would look for going over that total. You could do a bet like first team to hit 4 or more goals. So if I was looking at that first team to hit those goals based on what we've seen, it would be Colorado in this one because the Winnipeg Jets will be fighting for their lives at the very end. But I do think it's going to take empty netters. Now, they also have to stay out of the freaking box. I'm pulling out my hair with this team taking the penalties. They went 0 for 4 on the power play in the last game. So when they had those opportunities, they weren't converting, but they were allowing Colorado to convert. Colorado converted on 2 of their 4 power play opportunities in that last game. So I tell you, the Jets need to play smart hockey out here. They can't play like they've been playing, and they can't keep letting Colorado play their own game. But that being said, I still think those goals are coming. So I would take this to the over way before I took this one to the under. I love that parlay there. And I'm going to stay off the side for the full game. I would take this one to the over, though. You're welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for being here each and every day. Appreciate it. Yeah, you got to look at Brad Marchand as well. He's been absolute straight fire for them. You're going with the Jets. Oh, man. I hope they win. I want this series extended. Like, I had this series going 7. I have the Winnipeg Jets advancing. So I'm losing bets if it doesn't win tonight. The last game on the ice tonight, we've got the Vancouver Canucks in the position to close this out. They have played 4 games versus the Preds with 3 different goalies. This is insane, and they're leading the series 3-1. I still can't believe it. The Nashville Predators, I really thought were going to be able to get the win in that last game. This team has been locking down on defense. They've given Saros support, but the problem here is Saros has been facing super high danger shots when they get past his defense, and we've seen them be going in. So looking at this matchup tonight, Casey DeSmith is now expected back. So Casey DeSmith missed the last game because of injury. Silos, I believe is how you pronounce his name, stepped in and he played a fantastic one. Vancouver completely dominated that game. And I know it was an overtime win, but they dominated out there on the ice. They played such a spectacular game that they deserved that win. So now they're back at home. They're looking to close this out. It's going to be absolutely buzzing in Vancouver tonight, but I do think the Predators push it to game 6. I think the Preds push it to game 6. They actually take it home, win game 6, and then it comes back to Vancouver, and Vancouver finishes off this series at home. That's how I'm looking at things to play out. I just think these two teams, especially with one of them with their backs against the wall, can be so dangerous. The Nashville Predators have an elite offense. I don't think we've seen the best out of Saros as of yet, and I do think the Predators really can push this to game 6. Now, will they 100% be able to win at home? Probably not. I was talking with Cam and Gabe Morency last night. Gabe could see a storyline where Vancouver loses tonight, but then wins in Nashville. I would love to see this one, though, play out where they end up winning this at home, just not tonight. It's too soon in this series. You guys know we're writing some player props for those goals within this series, which I think they've already cashed, actually, when we look at Forsberg and JT Miller. Both teams have had their elite playmakers really stepping up. So I'm taking the Preds to be able to get the win. I do think they have every opportunity. These teams are playing fantastic hockey versus each other, super physical out there. And I do think the Predators, as long as Saros has a stronger night, can get the win. Now, when we look at how these wins have unfolded, game 2 was a win by the Preds. That was a 4-1 win. We saw Vancouver win game 1, 4-2, game 3, 2-1, and game 4 in overtime, 4-3. I would lean on this one to go over that total of 5.5. I just don't trust the defenses and goaltending as much as I do the offenses in this battle. So you guys, that's it for Puck It with Jo. Make sure you stay tuned to SportsGrid for all of my content. Let me know what you're liking out there tonight. Carolina in regulation, only -113. That is great value. My 2 best bets on the board tonight. I really love looking at the Winnipeg Jets, looking at those shots on goal props tonight between Kyle Connor and Shane Monahan parlayed together. Now, Mark Scheifele, you could add his shots on goal, parlaying that together to get more value there. I do think it's a really solid way to go. If I was looking at the Preds and Vancouver, I actually like player props in this one. So let's just look at a couple of the point scorers. I do like Forsberg to come out nice and strong. He has to drive this team. Forsberg for the 1+ points, so you can't take. And you could look at Philip Forsberg for 2+ points at +210 and JT Miller, the Vancouver Canucks, at +215. Those would be the player props that hit, but I would look at this game to go over that 5.5. The over 5.5 between these two is coming in at -110. You have to remember an elimination game like this, we don't have the defense and the goaltenders that we had yesterday for the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. We have Saros and Casey DeSmith. The goaltenders, Saros is an elite goaltender, but they've been getting past him in this series. The offenses are stronger than the defense, in my opinion. This is hard hitting. The Preds are really taking it out on the defense of the Vancouver Canucks, trying to get pass them. So I do think the over 5.5. So if you ask me my two best bets, two favorite bets of the night, it would be the over 5.5 with the Preds and Vancouver, and then those shot on goal props for the Winnipeg Jets, because it depends on Georgiev. If those shots are raining in like that, Kyle Connor is going to get a goal. Shane Monahan will get a goal. Mark Scheifele will get a goal. But if Georgiev is standing tall like he has been, and Winnipeg again struggles to light the lamp, those shots on goal are still going to come. We're not seeing the Avs defense get a lot of block shots. So those are my favorites. I really do think Boston closes it out. Carolina closes it out. It's just hard finding value in both of those. But you guys are throwing out in reg there for Carolina. I don't hate it. The Islanders, they are fighting and they are trying. Patrick Waugh has done a really good job with this team, locking them down. Their defense is playing strong. Varlamov had an excellent game in the last one. Could we see the Islanders push this one again? You guys know I'd love to take that plus money at plus 205. I just don't know if it happens tonight. I can't get there, but we're going to have at least two series, I think, close out tonight. Let me know what you think, you guys. I will be live on Game Time Decisions at 6:12, so make sure you come over and join me there. I will be talking MLB and hockey for tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Let's make some freaking money out there on the ice. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay. Bye, guys.